Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is TreeJo. I'm Flame Nash, and I'm here with one of my best,
Dr. Jones.
Dr.
Yeah.
Jones. And we didn't actually say what we were going to talk about last time, did we? It was kind of up in the air.
Yeah, it was a mystery.
Yeah. So this week, we decided to watch The Fellowship of the Ring, Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring. And we've both seen it, right? I mean, I've seen it
Yeah, I've seen it.
twice before now.
This is probably my third time, maybe?
Yeah, this was my third time also. So, I mean, I'm trying to think when the first time I saw it was. I think it was only a couple years back. I think I definitely was still in high school at that point.
I watched it
Um,
when I was really young, and then right after Infinity War came out.
yeah, so your second watching was fairly. I guess real. My second watching was fairly recent. Also, my second watching was back in November actually.
Mm.
I was I think I was getting it was end of October, early November. I was working them through while I had the time during between classes and homework and all that. I think I was watching through them, and then I stopped halfway through the third movie. I kind of just stopped and never got back to the Return of the King.
But since we're doing the first part, I think
Yeah.
you can guess what our next two videos are going to be.
Oh no! They're actually gonna be complete wrong. We're just gonna stop it here, and we're just never gonna do the two
No,
towers and Return. We're
we're
not
gonna
gonna
do the
do.
second Star Wars and then the third Indiana Jones
Yes.
in that order.
Mhm. Just what do they have? What do they all have in common? Well, the second Star Wars and the third Indiana Jones have nothing in common. Oh wait, they
Yeah.
do. They're both Lucasfilms, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Lord of the Rings is the outlier there. Okay,
Just
yeah,
okay. We should probably get into it.
yeah. Let's start the quick summary like we normally do. I say quick, but we always end up. But since this is like a 3.5 hour film extended
Yeah.
and a 3 hour non extended,
3 hours.
3 hours. I mean, that may not sound like much nowadays because we had Endgame, Infinity War that came out. I can't say fairly recently. They were
Um,
both. It was about a year ago, and those were both about 3 hours long.
Interstellar. That was a long one.
Yes, Inception. No, that was 2 hours. I mean, you mostly still see films around 2 hours, and then you get the
Yeah.
weird outlier of three. But the outlier is becoming more common. But when the Lord of the Rings films, what this was early 2000s.
Yeah, 2001.
Yeah. So a 3 hour film, and then later extended a couple years later to 3.5 hours, and I think Two Towers is almost is a little over 4 hours.
I know the longest one, if I think it's the third one with it's a little over 3 hours, just the normal version. I may be wrong.
I can actually double check this. Just give me one moment, and I can check time links. But while I'm doing this, do you want to start talking about the plot of the Fellowship?
Yeah. So we start off with this really cool, just quick summary of the events that happened with the Battle of Sauron and all that, or for the Middle Earth, I guess. And it was the last, I think, coalition between the elves and the humans, or man, and they were marching upon Mordor to defeat Sauron. And they were talking about the rings, how I believe each different race had a certain amount of rings. The elves got like
Mm-hmm.
three.
3 rings for the Elven Kings.
Yeah,
The Elven King.
I think it
For this
was.
guy, 5 for the Dwarf Lords in their Hall of Stone. 9 for mortal men doomed to die. One
Which
ring
those
for
men became what was
became
it, the riders? Or
the ring wraiths.
yeah, the
They're
ring
the ring
race.
wraiths.
Yeah.
So yes, we see the creation of the rings. We don't see Celebrimbor, the creator of the rings. He's the one that smithed all the rings except the rings of power. We see him, but he isn't mentioned, I believe. And we only learn about Celebrimbor from others. Like I think the I actually don't know which book it's talked about because I've only read through the Fellowship. I haven't even read through the Fellowship. I've read through most of the Fellowship and The
Yeah, I've only
Hobbit.
read The Hobbit, so
I mean, it's definitely fair.
I'm
Though the books do drag on, and
yeah.
it's a struggle just to read through them.
But then they show Sauron creating the Ring of Power,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of like the battle that I think took place like 3,000 years ago, something like that. And
I
what's
don't
his
think it
name
was
was there?
3,000. I don't think it was. I think it was less than 3,000. But it was in the Dark Ages.
Yeah, the Dark Ages.
Yeah. So we're just gonna. I'm just gonna quickly, because I can summarize this a bit quicker than you.
Yeah, I'm sure you
So we
can.
see this. We see Isildur and his heir, so his son.
Agent
Uh,
Smith
I don't think it was him.
from The
Um,
Matrix.
I haven't seen The Matrix. I'm sorry.
You know, maybe if we could extend this somehow.
We just continue, but no, that's for private. Um,
Yeah.
we'll discuss that later. Um, so we see the cutting off of Sauron's finger, which is huge because Sauron's huge and
He's
Sauron's
a big
cool.
boy.
Yeah, we see that. We see him cutting it off. Isildur. I don't actually can't think of their names because they're mentioned a couple times.
They're like, it's Aragorn's like ancestor.
Yeah, it's because Aragorn's the is the rightful king of men because he is
Yeah.
Isildur's heir. So they cut off the ring.
Mm-hmm.
The son takes the ring, puts it on. Orcs track him down. He attempts to hide. The ring betrays him. He gets shot. Many years later, Smeagol finds it, gets obsessed, runs off into the Misty Mountains.
Yeah.
Bilbo finds it. The ring
That's The Hobbit.
hears. The ring
Watch
hears.
those three movies and then come back to this point.
Don't read the book. It'll be significantly longer. You've got a 10-hour film set or like maybe a 5-hour book read. Your choice. Where was I? So Bilbo. So the ring hears Sauron's call. He runs away from Smeagol, um, who is Gollum. So it goes away from Gollum. Bilbo picks it up, and we pick up on Bilbo's departure. At
Yes.
111, which a fun fact, it is also Frodo's becoming of age. They were born on the same day. I believe
Really?
Frodo was 35,
Uh,
and he at the start at that. So when Bilbo leaves in the book, he is 30 or he's 25 or 35. It's his coming of age. When he becomes finally like becomes a man, whatever. And then
yeah.
Bilbo turns to 111. Bilbo leaves, keeps the
Because the
ring.
ring gave him like a natural, like, aging or whatever.
Yeah,
Or de-aging.
I think Bilbo discusses this perfectly. Um, he feels like he he's butter that has been spread too thin on a piece of
Yeah.
toast. I think just starting it just here. I think if there's anything I love about the Lord of the Rings and just Tolkien in general is he builds fantastic worlds
Mm-hmm.
and the quotes, especially from Gandalf, like later in the film, his like. I'm being perfectly honest. I wanted to quote Gandalf, but I could not find a good quote for my senior quote from him. I couldn't find one that I knew for a fact would get approved.
Yeah. He is on a lot of that pipe weed or whatever.
I mean, yes, he's been smoking a lot of the weed in the Hobbit's weed. So
Yeah.
Bilbo leaves Frodo the ring. Gandalf senses something affair. He goes sees Saruman. Saruman is actually evil, working with
Yeah.
Sauron.
Betrayed
Um,
him.
yep, Saruman the White has betrayed the wizards. which is real interesting lore wise. So we have the descent from gods, and then we have it's real interesting because Balrogs, wizards, and I believe Sauron are all about the same power. Actually, I don't think Sauron is, but the Balrog and the wizards, all they have the wizards have a specific name, but they're essentially angels to the gods.
Yeah, as we
I
can
think,
kind of see in the second movie.
which is spoilers, but I mean,
Yeah.
can I spoil it? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
only
if you haven't seen these movies, they've been out for almost 20 years now.
and the book has been out for like 40.
Yeah.
So Gandalf comes back. He dies. He dies to the Balrog. So we're gonna skip ahead a little bit.
He
No,
dies.
no. Here we go. Here we go. I'll get us to that point, like real quick. Frodo takes the ring. Time has come. Ring wraiths have found him and on his way. Him, Sam, escape. Meet up with Pippin and Mary.
Yes, the other hobbits that
The other
followed them.
two, who actually play a really important role in the stories.
Yes, they do.
Um, and then they all go to why can't I think of the name? The Prancing Pony. There we go. That's it.
Yes.
The ring wraiths find him. He goes.
Gandalf's not there,
Gandalf's not there,
right?
but Strider is.
Hmm.
He is. Oh wait, he's a ranger. He's a ranger from the west. There
Yes.
we go. Who? Fun fact: he's Aragorn.
Dang it, I didn't know that.
Drads. I know. The rightful heir to the rightful
Gondor,
heir.
I think.
Yeah, I think it is. Well, it's to men, the king of men. He's the rightful
Yeah.
heir of the king of men. He's Isildur's heir. So they meet up. They travel a bit. Ring wraiths catch up, stab Frodo in the chest because Frodo likes being stabbed in the chest.
And it's like a weird blade, right? It's like a poison.
Oh no, it has a name. I can't think of the name of the blade. It has a specific name because Tolkien likes giving everything specific names that are weird. This is actually I can't remember this.
Blade that stabbed Frodo. Google. It was a Morgul knife.
Oh, it
I
is.
think?
It's a Morgul knife because
Yeah.
Morgul's are the undead, I believe.
The Witch King.
Yeah, they are servants of the Witch King.
Yeah.
Which
He stabbed at the ancient watchtower.
yeah, which Morgul blade, a Morgul knife.
I think does every weapon in Lord of the Rings have its own name?
All the major ones.
I'm
Yes.
I'm looking at all of these and it looks like they all have names. Jeez.
Yes, almost any major weapon will have a specific name. I mean, it's kind
Dang.
of just it. I think almost every weapon used that is like specifically used has some sort
Or
of
like a main character
yeah.
or something.
So if it's an important blade, it has a name essentially.
Especially what's his names?
All the daggers have names. All the swords from the Hobbit.
Oh
has
yeah,
names.
Frodo's or Bilbo's.
He
Was
named
it
that.
Stinger?
Bilbo named that.
Yeah.
It was a simple when Bilbo met with the elves. He was going to ask the name of it, but Gandalf said, "Names do not matter." I mean, basically, names do not matter. It is such a small weapon that it probably does not have a name, but it is yours to keep. So have fun.
Yeah.
And then it was in the Dark Forest. I can't think of its name. It's Misty Forest or something. It was the Wax Forest where you kill spiders.
Yeah.
He gave it the name Stinger because it stung them.
Yeah.
Going forward, where were we? Okay, he got stabbed. There we go. Yeah,
yeah,
he
he
got
got
stabbed
stabbed.
by the Morgul blade, Morgul knife blade.
And then they need elf.
They
magic
need
to heal him, right?
they need Aragorn's girlfriend. I can't think of her name.
Yeah. What was her name?
He married
IMDb. No, that's the wrong elf lady. That's the creepy one.
Arwen. It's Arwen.
Yeah.
Um,
Son of, or not son, daughter
daughter
of
of daughter of Elrond and Celebrimbor.
Elrond. Yeah.
Um, which Elrond is the keeper of Rivendell. Yeah.
Yeah, Rivendell. So they get to Rivendell.
Yeah. So Arwen rescues Frodo. He passes out. Lost. He lives. Surprisingly, they're in Rivendell now. Everyone's rejoicing. Gandalf's there. Escapes from
Saruman
Saruman
on the eagle
on the Eagles because
after his first
moths,
battle.
moths and eagles have an inherent connection, never explained.
It just happens, you know.
So they all choose up. Elrond
They
makes
meet with the different kingdoms, right? The dwarves, the elves,
yeah, the
so on and so forth.
races, all the races of Middle
Yeah,
Earth essentially, except the orcs, the goblins, and the Uruks
and trolls.
and
Right.
trolls. Oh, and the Vargs. Can't forget the Vargs.
So many. But yeah, they discuss like who's gonna
Yep,
destroy the ring.
the meeting of the I think it's like the meeting of the ring.
Hmm.
The Fellowship is formed. We have Gimli, a dwarf, Legolas, an elf, Boromir. Is it Boromir?
I think it's Boromir.
Yeah, Boromir.
Yeah, Boromir.
Boromir the human from Gondor.
Yeah, he's like
Erd-
this. I don't know. He's like the son of the guy who's kind of running, or the leader.
yeah,
You can tell.
he is the heir. He's one of the two sons we meet of the current ruler of Gondor.
Yeah.
Um, and we meet his other brother actually. We meet
Yeah, and
Boromir's brother. I can't remember his name.
I'm sure we'll find out when we watch it again.
Yeah, but that's not important because he doesn't show up in this.
Yeah.
Pippin, Merry, Sam, Frodo,
Yeah.
and Gandalf.
Hmm.
And then I think did I mention Aragorn? Aragorn's also there.
Yeah,
But he's a
Aragorn.
ranger, so he's not counted as a human. Even I mean he's half elf.
Half elf.
Aragorn's
He is.
yeah, Aragorn's half elf.
Oh.
It's why he has such a long lifespan. He's 95 or something when the
That makes sense.
yeah, he's half elf and his family's been blessed with long life. So they set out. They go, they travel, they try to cut through the mountain pass.
But Saruman's
Saruman's like, no,
he's
it's
wrecking stuff.
Mm-hmm. It snows.
He's like, you shall not pass.
I mean, not yet, but yes, kind of.
So they go to the mines of Moria.
Mm-hmm. Boromir tries taking the ring on the mountain. He says, "Why don't we go through Gondor?" Aragorn's like, "I will not take that. I will not take this ring 100. I keep wanting to say it's like 100 distance within Mordor. It will be too close to Sauron's gate.
Yeah.
It'll be too close to Mordor, Sauron's realm." So instead, Gimli's like, "Guys, let's go through Moria, the mines of Moria."
Gandalf's like, no,
No,
we're
because
not going there.
he knows what happens.
Yeah.
They go to the gate. They struggle. They find they open it by speaking Friend and Elfish.
Hmm.
They go through Moria.
And they find out that it's
That was
been
raided by
taken over.
orcs. It was
Yeah.
raided by orcs.
And the dwarves
cave
awoken
trolls.
something.
Yep. Everyone's
digging
dead.
deep.
Moria's completely abandoned. Everyone's dead. Pippin awakes the orcs and the trolls. Frodo gets stabbed again.
Yeah, but he has mithril, so
Except
he's fine.
yeah, he has mithril from Bilbo and from Rivendell. He gets that. He also has Stinger. They all have weapons. They go through Moria. Gandalf. The Balrog.
They're like, yeah, the Balrog.
The Balrog's there. He gets awakened also. They try escaping. Gandalf realizes they aren't going to make it. He stands behind, does the "You shall not pass" famous line. But the true question is, do Balrogs have wings or not?
Yeah, they don't they? So why
Um,
didn't you fly?
so this is one of
What?
the most highly debated subjects in Lord of the
Uh,
Rings. Do Balrogs have wings? The
yeah, I think
books
they do.
the books describe him as both having wings, having a large presence as if he had wings, and he leapt, but yet within the next like paragraph, it describes it of having wings. No one knows because Tolkien's
Uh,
dead. No one knows if Balrogs have wings or not.
yeah, because that doesn't explain how you would just fall. He should have been able to fly. I'm sure there was an explanation, or I would like to believe there was.
Yes.
He also has like the whip,
Here,
right?
I'm on the Lord of the Rings fandom wiki, and I'm under the
Okay.
appearance of Balrog. The issue of Balrogs having wings have been long debated in Tolkien circles. The use of like wings to describe the shadows around Balrog is the epicenter of the discussion. It remains somewhat ambiguous. But English is hard. Trust me on this one.
Yeah.
Whether they had wings, but the description of the shadow as stretched from wall to wall does not fit the scale of the Balrog in the book. The use of a simile also suggests they do not have them. However, there is also a quote that states the Balrog's wings stretched from wall to wall, causing more confusion. As just a few lines earlier, there was an aforementioned use of like wings.
Hmm.
But the Peter Jackson versions portrayed them with wings, so we're gonna go with that for now
Yeah.
and get everyone to
And
hate us. Um, So Gandalf fights off, kills off the Balrog, but we don't know about that until the second movie. They escape. They
yeah.
go to the forest. They meet. I can't think of her name.
Oh, she's the elf queen.
She's the ring bearer. She's one of the ring bearers.
Gal Gal
Galandra.
Galadriel? I don't know, but she was creepy. She was kind of sketchy. So she was talking about
Yeah, Galadriel. There we go. And the woods of Lorithil. Lorthin.
yeah.
Lorthin. There, they all get their presents. Merry and Pippin get swords. Um, by all technicality, I believe
Ooh,
technically, um, Legolas gets two. He gets the bow, and then also I think he gets the two daggers.
yeah.
Aragorn gets nothing. Boromir gets nothing. By all intents and
Frodo
purposes,
gets the
he
what
gets
was
the
it? This
light.
yeah, the
Uh,
star of
the
something. I don't
light
know.
of the star.
Yeah, which helps him in the third movie or book.
Well, it actually does. It does in general.
Yeah.
It's the light. Oh, I can't think of the name of the star. Oh, Elendil, the brightest star.
Yes.
And Sam gave him some rope. Oh, and Gimli got 3 pieces of hair.
Nice.
And Gimli fell in love with her because she was a fair maiden. So they leave through it. They go by boat. Boromir. They take a stop. Boromir
Yeah.
tries taking the ring from Frodo, freaks Frodo out, doesn't know who to trust, tells Aragorn, realizes that he must travel alone, tells
Yeah.
Aragorn, keep Sam safe, he will not be happy.
And this is when like
Boromir's real
Saruman's
sad. This is where the Uruks show up. I think
yeah,
that's their names.
which they're like hybrids, right? They're like human.
They're humans, orcs.
Yeah, because the other orcs are like elves, right? Or
Oh no,
I
they're
think
the
that
Urukai. That's what.
yeah, the Urukai.
They're the Urukai. But they're orcs. No one knows. It's too confusing. Are orcs?
So I guess orc is just like it's like an umbrella of just a bunch of different kind of
So
subspecies. I don't
the
know,
thing about this.
like different breeds. I
So
don't know.
I'm gonna spoil something for you. What they
Go
describe
ahead.
as orcs are also the goblins.
I think this is what happens when you establish this giant world and there's so much stuff to keep track of. Maybe. I don't know. Goblins,
So
orcs, trolls, aren't they just
goblins.
all the same?
So the reason for goblins is because it is what Tolkien called the orcs in The Hobbit, but they're never referred
Mm.
to as goblins again. Instead, they're
And
referred to orcs, and trolls are actually different. So it's orcs, trolls, and vargs, which makes it even funnier to think of like the Uruk-hai riding vargs, which
yeah.
are just giant wolves.
So in the Hobbit movie, they just when they referred to them as goblins, they just kept them as
They're
goblins.
orcs essentially. They are just orcs.
Okay. That was an epic fight scene, though.
Yeah. So yeah, that happens. Sam realizes. Well, Pippin and Mary realizes, distracts them
To save Frodo.
to save Frodo. Frodo leaves on the boat. Sam tries swimming. Sam can't swim. They leave.
Frodo saves him.
They go off in one direction, and the others go in the other direction with Sam and with Pippin and Mary getting captured, and sending the others into motion.
Mm-hmm.
Which I actually think it's a great. So we're currently at 26 minutes, and we just finished describing the movie in literally one of the most blatant ways. So now it's time for us to describe our favorite scenes.
Yeah.
I liked the entire movie.
I thought it was a great movie. Like, this has to be one of the, if not the best movie trilogy.
Yeah,
Or one of
I definitely agree with you on that one. Um, I think it's fantastic. I think personally, actually, one of my favorite scenes is the Mines of Moria.
the, yeah.
I think they just capture the ambiance of this abandoned great city of dwarves who greeted too much perfectly. It
Mm-hmm.
was dark, and Gandalf. I mean, this is also where one of my favorite quotes comes from. To Frodo, when Frodo asks Gandalf, mentions this all would have been simpler, and this all would have been better if
Oh,
Bilbo
yeah.
had just killed Golem. And then Gandalf refers back, um, "It is not you who should judge who should live or die, for many, for many who deserve death lived, and many who deserve to die. No, many who deserve death lived, and
Life, I
many who
think.
deserved life died. Are you the one? Are you able to? It's like, are you able to bring justice to that?" And I just think it's like
Mm-hmm.
perfect. Like you shouldn't judge what fate or whatever you want to call it decides, as you aren't the one who decides life or death. So you shouldn't be the
Mm-hmm.
one who wishes death upon anyone.
I thought that was one quote from the movie that kind of just stuck with me. I felt.
Um, there's a couple other ones. Actually, I don't even think that like originally like goes there. Um, yeah, I found it. Pity. It was pity that stayed his hand. So this is when Frodo asked, "What a pity that Bilbo
Yeah.
did not stab that vile creature when he had the chance. Pity. It was pity that stayed his hand. Pity and mercy, not to strike without need. And he has been well rewarded, Frodo. Be sure that he took so little hurt from the evil and escaped the world because he began ownership of the ring. So with pity."
I think that's kind of cool how you see that in the Hobbit movie.
Yeah.
You know, um, I think some of my favorite scenes were when God, I can't remember their names.
Just tell
Uh,
who are the do you know like which what
they
race
were
are
the
they?
riders, right? The witch with
The
the
ring
Witch
wraiths
King. Yeah, the ring race. When they were attacking at the
on the hill.
abandoned watchtower. That was cool when Aragorn just throws the torch head in his face. It just runs off the mountain on fire. I also thought I think they were Urukai. I thought those were pretty cool.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. I think everything was done fantastically. And then
Hmm.
there's another quote that really stuck with me. I think personally, I think this movie has some of the best quotes like out of all of them.
Yeah.
And it's because Gandalf. I mean, Gandalf doesn't play a major role, but he plays probably one of the largest roles in the Fellowship. And another one was I can't remember the context of this. Um, oh, it was when Frodo was asking why this all would happen and like what's fate. Like, and it's like I wish it not need to have happened in my time, said Frodo. So do I, said Gandalf, and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. That is given us. I think that kind of just sticks. I mean, it's really interesting. It's kind of saying there's no point in asking why things happen, why do things happen to us, rather
Hmm.
accept them, move on, and make our best out of the situation. As we can only do so much. We are only allowed to do everything we can in the time that's given us. So it doesn't matter. Do the best we can in every situation, and it shows. I mean, I think the Lord of the Ring, a I think Tolkien is a fantastic writer and he makes great, fantastic worlds. He's a stupidly descriptive writer, which
Hmm.
uses. I mean, yeah, you've read The Hobbit and everything.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like, I think just the movie's fantastically fantastic. I think Moria's was set up perfectly.
Hmm.
The woods of Lawrence and the blah 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 was set up fantastic. Everything looked mystical and magical. I mean, it was filmed in New Zealand, so it basically
Yes.
is a magical place. Um, quite a bit of it was filmed in New Zealand. I think there was a bit of other places they filmed, but it was quite a bit of just New Zealand. The Shire was fantastic.
Yes.
Rivendell, I mean, we see it a bit more in The Hobbit, but every time they used it, it looked fantastic, mystical, almost every way you think you would imagine it. And I think just this trilogy, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend watching it. And then
Yeah.
your choice if you want to watch the Hobbit movies before or after them. But I think the Hobbit movies do back up quite a bit of what this movie said. I think they do a great job at representing what the books wanted and what Tolkien set up and for this
I would
world.
agree.
I think it does a fantastic job. So unless you have anything to add, I think it's time for us to get started to rate them.
I don't really have much to add other than I thought for like a movie that's like over 20 years or getting close to that, I thought
Mm-hmm.
the effects were really, really hold up.
Yes, they definitely do. It's a beautiful looking movie even today, and I would not
Yeah.
want it any different, to be honest. I mean, everything looks believable. I mean, there are some shots. I mean, they do the
Yeah.
framing
Some.
fantastically to keep every time we see a comparison in height with the hobbits.
Hmm.
They're small. They're how tall they're supposed to be because they are. So an average human's about, let's say 5'6". An elf is about 6 foot, six and a half foot. They're about a foot taller than humans. Um,
Hmm.
the tallest hobbit, I believe. I
It
think they
was in
mentioned it
like
was like 4 foot.
right.
It was like 4.5 foot is the tallest hobbit. I think they all average about 3. And then dwarves are right around. Actually, I think the dwarves are
I
right
think
around there.
dwarves are a little taller.
I mean, they have the beard, so 3 feet 6 inches. I was right. It was about 3 feet six
Mm,
inches. Yeah, they're between 2 and 4 feet.
nice.
Yep, and then the dwarves average 4'6". Yeah, but I mean, like, I think just in general, I think I'm gonna. Do you mind if I give my rating first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, I don't want to like rate this a 10 out of 10 because I think this is the first time we've given. This is the first time we've got a few movies we've done have gotten close.
Hmm.
I don't think it's a perfect movie. I don't think any movie we're ever gonna watch is a perfect movie. But I think this got shockingly close. I'm gonna give it a 9.5.
Yeah.
I just think it's absolutely fantastic. I don't think there's really anything. I fell in love it. I fell in love. This was one of the first things that made me fall in love with Tolkien's work. I definitely think it does it miles better than any other like major fantasy world you could think of. I just think it does fantastic with everything it does, and it's just absolutely wonderful to watch, to read, to everything.
I would probably give it a 9,
And then,
just because it's out of all the Lord of the Rings movies, it's not my favorite one. But that's not to say that I don't like this one. I really do like this movie.
yes. Well, I guess if there's nothing else to add, I think this is where we're gonna end it off. Um, any final thoughts, or I guess we've given our ratings, so I guess we're done. We're
Yeah.
good closing it off here. Um, Thanks y'all for watching. If you made it this far,
Yeah.
congrats.
If you
I'll
made
leave
it to the end,
Yeah, leave it a like and subscribe.
thanks to the like I give a huge shout out to the OG10. You know who you are.
Yeah, I think next time we've decided that we are going to be continuing this off as we're getting close to the ending of our time doing reviews.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna finish this up the next couple of weeks, sadly. But it was a wonderful time doing all this, and we're gonna continue this. We're gonna continue our Lord of the Rings month. I think is what we've decided with Two Towers next week.
Yes.
So thanks all very much. We'll see you next time.